It's time to rock the pond, everybody. So, come over here and check this out. This is what I got going on so far with the rock system that I am placing in with concrete. I want you to look in here. This is a little bit of a soupy mess with the concrete, but I mix this in a 5-gallon bucket, and it should be just a hair less runny than this, but it will work and it will dry, so it will be a little bit more smooth of a texture than I wanted. But I think that for this particular situation, the rocks need to hold together, and so if we have a little bit of it be a little bit runny, it will go into the cracks a little bit nicer, and it will be a more form-fitting situation. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm going to take a little bit of this nice concrete. I'm going to move it over here, and if we swing around here with the camera on this side over here, we'll see what I'm doing here. So we're dropping a little bit of concrete in these edges. Okay, previous to this, as you can see, I dropped the flagstone in here, and I had to put a bunch of concrete down on the bottom so I could solidify this in place. And then I have a rock here that's kind of holding this portion of the sandstone a little bit higher than where it was before, or else it will just kind of dip down a little too low. You can have it one of two ways. You can have it like this, where it's going to kind of fall in different places because it has kind of a slight down tilt, and then I'm going to also make some of them have a up tilt, so we'll shoot it off. But this particular part right here, I want it to have a down tilt, so it just has a nice flow across it, not where it's going to shoot the water kind of up. So that's the effect that I'm looking for. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, and to keep things simple, I'm using concrete. You could use the foam and stuff like that, but what I think about the foam is that that's not really as durable. It's going to degrade over time, and especially in this Arizona heat, that black foam is not going to last long. So I decided to go with the concrete for this project. So I have worked with concrete several times, been in construction, so it's nothing new to me. I've done it before. So just to show you here, so now for this particular section, right back behind here in this corner, I'm just gonna float some little pebble rocks in here, river rocks. They're the smaller river rocks into this area right here, just to give it some texture. And I'm also going to place another rock right across here, so it will be a larger rock, and I'll work my way across because I don't want that water to come out of this area here. So I'm going to slab some concrete up on the top here and prepare it for that bigger portion. Don't be afraid to get a little bit messy with this stuff. It's okay, it's concrete, it's not gonna hurt anything. So we'll put a little nice decent stack over here, and we'll kind of work it back this way so that we have a clear path of where we're gonna put our rocks. So this one right here looks like a decent fit for this area. We're gonna kind of try to move the water in whatever direction we want it to go. So be mindful of where you're placing each rock, and try to think of where that water is going to end up. So I want you to take a look at this spot here for a second so you can understand what I'm talking about. So back in this chasm here underneath the waterfall feature where this is going to spill out, we don't want any water to go back and get underneath this liner. So what we're going to have to do is, I'm building it up, and I have chosen what channels the water is going to go down. So if I put concrete back in here, which is what I'm going to be doing, is I'm making kind of a steeper hill, and I'm filling in this crack so that there's no chances, and if a little bit of water gets back behind there, it's just gonna spill out because it has the path of least resistance for the water to go down. So you want to think about that. Gravity is going to pull it down. The path of least resistance is where the water is going to end up trickling out. So if it goes across here a little bit, it'll add a little bit of an effect with the water. It will split it and make it look really beautiful coming down. But what we don't want is over up in these edges here, up in the corner especially, there's some a gap here. I can even put my hand right here. So I'm gonna keep filling this area, and I'm gonna put rocks down into it so it gives it some structure, and the water is never going to pass beyond this point. Also, the water flows this way. So if the water gets up underneath here, it's gonna be very little to none because gravity is pulling it this way. So if anything, it's gonna spill off of this, and it's just gonna go right where I want it to go. But just in case, and to make this really strong and watertight, I'm going to keep doing that and build this up on the sides. And then as you can see on this side, it's already been done. We've put rocks on this side to make it even stronger. And when the water comes to this edge, it will go right off of this rock here, and it'll either come through this way or it will go down in this nice little pool that I made. And I'm going to actually put concrete a little bit tucked under here, so it will just pool in this area right here, and then it will just build up a little bit of water, and more water will come out this little area. So you can also do that and make nice little details where the water is going to pool and make it have an extra effect. So you got to think about each one of these rocks as you put it in, and think, how is the water going to come off of this, and where do I want it to split? Where do I want it to have the water go narrow? Where do I want it to go pooling? And how do I want the water to fly off of this rock, or things like that? So you need to think ahead and plan what you're gonna do as you're placing the rocks, and make it so where there's no way that this thing is going to leak, number one, and that when the water is actually turned on, when all this is dry, that it has the effect in all the areas of this waterfall feature that you want. So this is going to take me quite a bit of work, so I don't expect you to watch every single piece of this, but I'll just go ahead and do a couple of these spots so you can watch while I do it. Mix up this concrete. Keeping it a little bit wet is going to actually help our situation so that we can be able to move a little slower and get everything in place where we want it with the concrete. So I'm going to start over here and tuck some of this back in here. So what I do is I just get a good amount of this in place first. Then I use my trowel and I stuff it back in there as much as possible. Then I come in with my fingers and I sculpt it and make it the way I want it. So if there's too much in one area, you can go ahead and move it around, because at this point the concrete hasn't set up yet. So you're welcome to explore and get it the way you want it. So we'll just do a little bit here, tuck this underneath like I was talking about. Put some more over here. Get some in this corner here. And it's going to look like a bit of a mess because this is a little bit watery, but it'll be fine. So now we want to build up that side over here. So I'm going to lift these rocks up over here, and I'm going to show you right in this area, this is that large chasm now that we're talking about right here. So there's a little corner edge right here that's perfect for dumping some of our concrete in here and building this side up. You don't actually have to fill the entire chasm of space here, but I'm gonna try to put more rocks and stuff behind there so it will make it a little bit more strong. So let's take some of these rocks first, because I already have a bit of concrete already in there, and let's place it in this corner coming out here. See, you can press that in there, and then press one of these rocks down in the corner edge here, just to give that concrete somewhere to end up. So some in that corner, and it's a build-up process, so it will take a little bit of effort to get it the way you want it, but we just want it to be high enough to where it's not going to leak in that edge. Everything, if it's higher than the water level, it won't leak, okay? So it's key that you understand how high and where the water is most likely going to go, and then go a tiny bit higher than that, just to ensure that your water is not going to go where you don't want it to go. So this is a little bit of the rocking process. I will do another video to show more of what's been done, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody out there in YouTube land, and go ahead and subscribe and like this video, and there will be more to come. Pond 101, I'm out. Have a good